Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. I hope you're having a great week. It's time for another Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, and I am super excited to share with you one of my very favorite bundles from the holiday catalog, the Merry Moose bundle. Now, this bundle is this was made for Canadians, okay? This bundle, for all of my Canadian viewers, this is a must-have, okay? It doesn't get any more Canadian than the Canadian Moose, right? So this bundle is so much fun, not just for Christmas cards, but throughout the year for Canadians. Well, for anybody, really. So let me just show you the 3 projects we're going to make, okay? I went with rustic, sort of woodsy feel for all of them. I'm going to show you where to find this in the catalog. So this is the holiday catalog, Stampin Up holiday catalog, and you will find it on page 27, okay? So this is a bundle. It's not part of a suite, but you do get the stamp set. It is a 17-piece stamp set, as well as the coordinating moose punch for only $41.25 in Canada, which is an awesome deal. So, are you ready to see what we can do with this guy? All right, so let's get to it. Hello, Chrissy. How are you? All right, we're going to start with this one here. This is pretty simple. I started out fairly simply to kind of warm us up to our Mr. Moose here. Just going to get my basket of goodies going. And I will show you how we're going to put this one together. All right, so we'll set our sample aside. How are things, Chrissy? I hope you're having a good day so far. All right, I'm going to start with my background panel. So here I have a piece of crumb cake cardstock. It is cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of distressing. I'm going to grunge it up a little bit. Hello, Kathy Angus. How are you doing? So I've got my crumb cake ink pad and a sponge dauber. And I'm just going to take and sponge the edges of my emboss panel. I should mention that I have embossed this panel using the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. I do that ahead of time just because I want to get through all 3 projects and not have you here and miss your dinner. So I'm just going to emboss. I'm not going to worry about this bottom edge because that's where I'm going to glue my DSP, but that gives you just sort of a little bit of a rustic feel. Hi, Irene. How are you? And then I have a piece of Toile Tidings DSP. So this is from the holiday catalog as well. It has a real red gingham pattern on one side and a garden green on the other. Now I've cut this panel to 4 1/4 by 2 inches, and I've actually embossed it using the subtle embossing folder. So I'm not sure how well that shows up, but it gives a really cool texture to it. Now, before I do anything more with this, I'm actually going to tear along that top edge. Now, just a couple tips when you're tearing paper. Hi, Leith. How are you doing? Hope you're having a good week. So when you're tearing, you have 2 options. You can tear away from you. If you tear your paper away from you, you will get a cleaner edge, okay? If you tear your paper towards you, you will see a little bit of that white inside, the uncolored inside of the cardstock, or of the DSP. I'm not sure how well that shows up, okay? So it depends on the look you're going for. I didn't want to see that white edge, so which is why I tore the paper away from me. So now I'm going to take and add a little bit of distressing to my DSP as well. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and sponge the edges with my crumb cake dauber. How you feeling, Leith? No after effects of the weekend? I hope you're feeling good. Leith was with me at my Autumn Adventure was this year's theme. My retreat this weekend in Niagara in Ontario here. Okay, so I'm going to use some Tombow just so I have my wiggle room. I'm going to add a little bit of liquid glue to the back of my DSP here. And I'm going to glue that to the front of my embossed panel. And that's going to go on. It's going to be flush with that bottom edge. Okay. I'm glad you are good. That was not a fun day on Saturday, I know. All right, so that's it. Super simple. Now here I have just a scrap piece of burlap trim, burlap ribbon, and I want to cut this so that it kind of stretches across my panel. It really should be cut to 5 1/4. This was just some scrap that I actually found on the floor of my craft room. So I'm just going to trim that at an angle, and I'm going to adhere it to my DSP panel with just a little bit of fast fuse. You can use whatever adhesive you prefer for this. Okay, so that's just going to get glued on there, just like that. I'm going to close this before we have a disaster. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this panel onto my card base. Now this card base is made from crumb cake cardstock. It is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 inches, and it's scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So I'm going to fold that in half along the score line. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue that panel on. So this time I will use my fast fuse. I have to be slow. Nope, it's not going to work for me. The fast fuse does not like it when I am in a hurry. And it's not going to cooperate. So I'm just going to use my Tombow. There we go. I've already got fast fuse on one side there. So we'll go ahead and stick this to our card base, just like that. Okay. Easy, easy, right? Okay, now we're going to do some stamping. So here I have a very vanilla cardstock panel. It is cut to 4 by 3 inches. Okay, easy to remember, 4 by 3. And we're going to start by stamping some trees. Now there are 2 different sizes of trees in the stamp set. So we have a larger tree and a smaller tree. And I like to stamp them both full strength and stamped off to give some dimension to my little scene that I'm creating here. So I'm inking my large tree stamp with my garden green ink. And I'm going to stamp once full strength. I'm going to kind of move over and down a little bit and stamp again, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to use that same stamp and I'm going to kind of stamp off to the side, off the edge, just like that. All right. That's easy, right? Next, I'm going to take my smaller tree and I'm going to stamp it sort of right at the bottom here, kind of going off the bottom edge. And then I'm going to add another full strength tree and a stamped off tree, just like that. Okay, super simple. Now I'm going to distress this panel a little bit as well and just add another little bit of sponging. So I'm going to take my dauber. Thank you, Chrissy, for sharing. I very much appreciate that. So I'm going to take my dauber. Now I just re-inked this pad, so it is very juicy. I'm getting a lot of ink with my dauber, but that's okay. When I did my sample, my pad was quite dry. And I got a little bit subtler look, but that's all right. This ink will dry and it'll be just fine. So we're going to just add a little bit of sponging all the way around. Okay. And then I'm ready to go ahead and add that to my real red layer. Now you'll notice the only red on this card is that frame. And it's just intended to make that scene pop out from the background. And I think it really does that. So this piece of real red cardstock is cut to 4 1/8 by 3 1/8 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. You're going to see that I have a really narrow border all the way around. So again, we'll add a little bit of Tombow here. And we'll pop that on there. And again, just take advantage of that wiggle time from the liquid glue to get that centered. And now I'm going to add some dimensionals. I'm going to add this to the front of my card. So I'll be quick. My nail has grown back. I don't know if you've been watching the last couple of weeks, but I haven't had a thumbnail for a while. I broke it off and it was very much a challenge to get my dimensional backings off. But it has gotten better. It is slowly growing. I find my nails grow much more slowly in the fall and winter than they do in the spring and summer. Is that true for you guys as well? They're also break a whole lot easier. I think it's because I wash my hands 15,000 times a day at school because I don't want to catch everything that's going around. All right, so I'm going to glue this centered onto my card base here. And again, use the lines on your gingham paper to get that straight. Okay, so there we go. Next, we're going to stamp our mousse. So here I have just a scrap of crumb cake cardstock. And I realize I need my solid mousse. I took him out of the basket. There he is. All right, so I'm going to start by stamping the outline image of the mousse first, okay? This is what I recommend. We're going to stamp an outline and we're going to fill them in with the solid. Actually, no, we're not. Not with this one. I lied. That's the next card. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp my outline mousse. just like that. All right. Then I'm going to color his antlers just to give a bit of contrast between the body and the antlers. I'm going to color it with my dark crumb cake blends. Now, if you have never colored with your blends on crumb cake cardstock, you are going to find that the color really bleeds, okay? The crumb cake is not pressed as tightly as Whisper White is. So if you try to color in the same way that you do on Whisper White, you're going to find that your ink is going to bleed quite a bit. So you want to use a very light touch, like I'm barely tickling this cardstock. And you're going to find that that ink is just going to spread on its own. You don't need to do a whole lot to get that ink to fill in. Okay, so there is one antler. And then we'll do the other one. Just like that. Trying to rush, and I'm getting a little bleeding here. I need to slow her down. There we go. Can you see how much that line I just drew bled? It really will move. So just be careful if you're trying to color with your blends on crumb cake cardstock. All right, so now we're going to punch out our mousse using our handy dandy mousse punch. So you will find that that image lines up quite nicely. You're going to have a border all the way around your stamped image when you punch it out. Okay, that's intentional. It's not a faulty punch. So we're just going to pop him out. And isn't he fun? Oh, I love him. He's so cute. All right, so now we're going to distress him just a little bit as well. So I'm just going to take my dauber. I'm not going to add any additional ink, but I'm just going to take and just grunge him up just a little bit. Because let's be honest, have you ever seen a mousse in real life? They're not exactly pleasant smelling. They're not clean animals. They stink. All right, so now we're ready to add our mousse to the front of our card. And I'm going to use mini dimensionals for this. So I'm going to put a couple on the antlers, put one on the head, and then I'm going to put a couple down right as low as I can on the legs, and then one on his butt there. Now, you can decide if you want to take the time to fuss with trimming dimensionals to put behind the legs, okay? I'm not going to take the time now on the video, but I did do that. I'm not sure how well that shows. Can you see? Yep, you can see those little strips of dimensionals behind the legs here. That I simply, you can see how narrow. I just trimmed a narrow little tinge off of my frame for my dimensionals to make them fit behind the legs, okay? So as I said, I'm not going to take the time to do that on the video now. But that is something you can certainly do so that your mousse his legs don't flop around, okay? So there he is, and our last step here is to stamp our greeting. So here I have the Happiest of Holidays image and a little 1/2-inch strip of crumb cake cardstock. And I'm going to take my stamp and ink it in Early Espresso. And I'm going to try and get this centered. I don't think that, oh, that was actually pretty good. I thought it was going to be crooked. You cannot tell when you are stamping off to the side on camera. And then I'm going to grab my tailored tag punch. And I'm going to do my little trick to create my banner ends. So I'm going to insert it as far as I can so I can see my sentiment and then back it off a little bit. Okay, that just gives me an idea of where my sentiment is. I'm going to trim this down just a little bit. That's still not enough. Trim that off some more. And then do the same thing on the other end. So I'm putting it in until I see the stamped image there, and then back it off a little and punch. Okay, and there's my little banner. Super quick and easy. Now we will pop this up. I'm just going to use 2 dimensionals on here. The nice thing about using a 1/2-inch strip for your banners is that the dimensionals fit just about perfectly back there. Now, before I stick this on, I'm going to add my little jingle bell. So these are the new little jingle bells that are in the holiday catalog. They actually ring, which is fun. And I'm going to take a little bit of linen thread and I'm going to double it. So I'm folding it over. All right. Then the part that's folded, I'm going to take and thread through the little loop in the jingle bells. That just makes it easier to get both strands through. And then I'm going to go ahead and tie a bow. I'm not going to worry about tying a knot. I'm just going to tie a bow. So I'm making a loop with my right hand. That's both strands of the twine, and then wrapping the left hand side around and bringing it through. And that gives me a cute little, as soon as I grab this end, which is caught in my bow, cute little double bow. All right, now, again, when you're tying double bows with twine especially, you want to make sure your loops are not exactly the same size or you kind of miss the fact that it's a double bow. And then I'm going to trim this end, and there I have a cute little bow with a jingle bell. Now, I'm going to add this just on this bottom corner of my sentiment here. So I'm going to take and just kind of fold a glue dot in half, and then press the bottom corner of my sentiment banner in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and press my bow and my bell right onto that. Okay, just like that. And then this is ready to go onto the front of my card. So again, I'm going to try and get this straight while not looking at it straight. You can tell me how well I did. How's that? Oh, not too bad. It's a little bit crooked, but not bad. Okay, but that's it. Isn't that cute and fun and easy? Not a difficult stamp set to work with at all. Okay, now let me just show you quickly what I did on the inside of this one. Stamped a few more trees, and then I added another sentiment from the Merry Moose set, stamped in Early Espresso. Okay, just a fun Christmas card, and very, very Canadian, I might add. All right, so let me get rid of some things here. I'm gonna need this. Actually, I think I just need to get rid of my inks because the other ones I am going to use. So we'll get these out of the way. And we'll get these out of the way. And our next project is this one. Now, I am loving the absolutely fabulous Wrapped in Plaid DSP. How many of you are loving that? It is my go-to this season. And I, of course, had to use some of this for my moose card here. So, I'm grabbing the wrong one again. Here we go. Grab my inks. So I had to use some of the plaid. All right. So this guy, both my moose and this little strip are from the Wrapped in Plaid DSP pack. Okay. So let's just dump out all our bits and get right to it. Now I've done a little bit of this ahead of time. You'll see I have another crumb cake panel. I've also pre-embossed it. This is embossed using the Winter Knit embossing folder. Now, I'm not sure how, oh yeah, it shows up pretty well on the camera. This is an awesome embossing folder. I think I've mentioned this before, but it is fabulous, and the catalog does not do it justice. It really, really is awesome. So this panel was 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, I embossed it again using the Winter Knit folder. And then here I have a circle cut from Whisper White cardstock that is cut using the stitched shapes framelits or stitch shaped dies. Okay, this is the largest circle from that set. So I'm just going to stamp off my trees here for a minute. And I'm not going to worry about cleaning them because I'm using another shade of green. So this time I'm going to use Shaded Spruce. Shaded Spruce is the green that is in the Wrapped in Plaid pack. And I'm going to stamp a little bit of a forest here on my circle. So there is one. I just re-inked this guy too. It's going to be quite juicy. I'm going to add another tree here, kind of going off the top. And maybe I'll add one more off to the side. So we'll ink it again, stamp it off, and then we'll add another one over here. Okay. And then I'm going to add a couple of smaller ones sort of down in front, and I'm going to do them full strength so they stand out. Oh, that's one seriously dark ink pad. That's okay. It is very juicy. That's what happens when we re-ink, right? All right. So there is my circle. That color will lighten up a little bit as it dries. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto my embossed panel. Okay, now you're going to notice I'm going to glue it on so that the edge of my circle extends off the edge of my panel. Okay, that is on purpose. So I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and I'm going to try not to glue where it's going to stick off the edge because I don't want to get glue all over my work surface. And I'm going to glue my circle down. Now you want to keep in mind your trees should grow straight up. Theoretically, they don't have to. Some trees grow sideways. So now that I've glued that on, I'm going to go ahead and flip my panel over and take my scissors and trim off that bit that's extending off the side. Okay, now I have a little semicircle. Easy, right? Right. Okay, so now I'm going to take my strip of DSP. This is 1 by 4 inches. And then here I have some gold foil. This DSP does have gold foil accents, so the gold foil sheets work really, really well with it. And I have, this strip is cut to 1 1/4 by 4. And you're going to see when I mat this on here, I'm going to get a nice little gold border on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of glue to that. And we'll just layer that on there. And then again, I'm gonna just make sure that's centered on there and then burnish it. Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add that onto my panel. Okay, right about there. I still want to see a fair bit of that circle. I don't want to cover it up completely. So I'm gonna use some fast fuse for this. Just in the, oh, my fast fuse is empty. We're not gonna use fast fuse today. It just ran out. It figures. It's been one of those days. You ever have a Tuesday that feels like a Monday? Yeah, that was my day today. Definitely felt like a Monday. Thank goodness it wasn't. I don't think I could handle it if this week was any longer than it is. All right, so now I have a couple of pine boughs. Now these are cut using the Beautiful Boughs dies. I still have a couple of little bits here from the dies I need to poke out. And these I'm going to tuck in underneath my circle. Okay, so I'm going to just add a glue dot to the back of each one. And then I'm just going to lift up my circle a little bit and tuck each one in behind there. Okay, so this one I'm going to trim off probably a little bit of the bottom of the bough as well. And again, we'll add a glue dot just in behind. Now sometimes you have to roll your glue dots so that they fit and don't peek out. So we'll tuck this guy in down here like that. Okay, you with me so far? I hope so. All right, now we're ready to do our mousse. The mousse is already punched. I have punched 2 mousse. I have punched 1 from gold foil and 1 from that wrapped in plaid DSP. So I'm going to go ahead and layer these. Now when I glue these on, the DSP one on, I want to offset it a little bit so I have a bit of a shadow of gold peeking out from behind him. So I'm just going to add just a bit of Tombow here. And we'll pop him on and just offset it up just a touch so that we can see him peeking out. There we go. So he has a gold shadow. Okay. All right. Now, once again, we're going to pop this guy up. So again, I'm not going to take the time to worry about his legs, but I would recommend doing that when you are gluing this on, just so that the legs don't catch on the envelope when you're putting it in, and that they're kind of not flopping around there. But I'm not going to worry about that just now because I want to get through this. So we'll get rid of the backings here. And pop him on. So he's kind of walking along the bottom of our DSP panel. Okay. Just like that. And now I'm ready to go ahead and glue this onto my card base. So my card base is, again, it's crumb cake. It's 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2. So I'm going to fold in half along my score line and add a little bit of glue to the back of my panel. And we'll pop that right onto the front of our card. Just like that. All right, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. All right, now I have a little tiny crumb cake label. This label was cut using the Ornate Frames dies. Now those dies are in the Halloween suite, the Monster Bash suite. And if you're not a Halloween person, it is really easy to miss these dies. But I'm telling you, you don't want to miss them. All right, they are gorgeous dies. I've used them a ton. I really hope they carry over because they make really, really fun, cute labels. So I've die cut my label from crumb cake cardstock. I'm going to take my Merry Christmoose sentiment and I'm going to stamp it right on that label in shaded spruce ink, just like that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to do the same kind of thing that I did on my last card with my twine. So I'm going to fold it in half. You guys are going to be experts at this. Fold it in half, okay? And then I'm going to feed that loop. This time I have a red Jingle Bell. This is all from the same pack. You get 3 different colors of Jingle Bells in that pack. There's red, green, and gold. The red coordinates with Cherry Cobbler. The green is shaded spruce, and of course gold is gold. And I'm going to tie my little bow, same way I did on the last card. And adjust my loops until I get them nice and tidy and the way I want them. I'm going to make this one a little bit smaller. Just like that. Pull those nice and tight. And then trim the ends of my twine. Okay, there's my cute little bow with my jingle bell. And then once again, I'm going to take a glue dot. I'm going to fold it in half. And this time I'm going to put it sort of on the bump of that label there. And I'm just going to add that to the end of the label. Just like that. Isn't that cute? Oh, I love that. All right, now we're going to go ahead and glue this onto the front of our card using a couple of dimensionals. I like to use dimensionals when I've got a jingle bell on there, just because the jingle bells are a little bit larger and it just gives it a little bit of room so that it doesn't bump out from the card quite so much. So again, I'm going to make every effort to get this on straight. That's pretty close. Okay, there's my finished card. Isn't that cute? Cute and, oh, I just noticed my jingle bell doesn't jingle. I don't have a jingler in there. All right, on the inside of my sample, this one does. This one doesn't. I have a jingleless bell. I added a whisper white panel. I stamped Happiest of Holidays on the inside and then added some more trees. So very similar to the last card. All right, just different orientation. All right, so that is card number 2 done. And now we're going to bring in number 3. Just need to get a couple things out of the way here. All right, card number 3 is this one. And for this one, we're going to have some fun with puff paint. Are you ready for this? I don't know if I'm ready for it because puff paint can be a little messy. I'm taking a chance doing puff paint on live video. All right, so you guys are going to have to bear with me if it goes south. All right, so let me grab my basket of goodies and my bottle of puff paint. All right, so we are going to start by doing some stamping. We're going to stamp our background panel. So this panel, let me see if I can remember my dimensions. I believe this is 3, no it's not, that's not the panel. That is a piece of scrap. This is our background panel. It is cut, I believe, to 3 1/4 by 4 1/2, if I remember correctly. And I am going to take my solid moose image and I'm going to stamp it several times on this panel to create my background. Okay, so I'm inking it up with crumb cake ink, and this is going to be quite a bit darker than what I did on my sample because again I just re-inked this stamp, so it's, or this ink pad, so it's going to be a little bit on the juicy side. So I'm stamping my moose kind of like he's walking across the panel. All right, and you're going to see my moose are a little bit blotchy. That's because of the fresh ink, but it's not a big deal. It'll dry just fine. And I'll add another one here. And we'll just do a little bit of his nose going off the page. And this, again, gives that illusion of motion, right? I think we're good. If you stamp all your moose so that they're centered on the page, you're not going to be as happy with the results, okay? So now that that's stamped, this is going to get embossed using the subtle embossing folder again. All right, now I've already gone ahead and done one, so I'll pull that out. And you'll see what it looks like when it's done. There it is. All right. Now you'll notice that the ink is quite a bit lighter on this, and that again is because my ink pad was dry when I made this. Okay, but you can see it adds just some really nice texture to that background panel with the embossing. So I'm going to take and glue that to a mat. So the mat is cut 1/8 of an inch larger. So this is 3 3/8 by 4 5/8. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue that onto my early espresso panel. So we'll just pop that on there like that. And again, just get it centered nicely. Okay, easy peasy. Now that is going to get, I'm missing some burlap. Let me just grab my burlap trim. I don't know what I did with it. There we go. We got burlap. All right, so I've got my burlap trim here, and I'm not going to go all the way across my panel. I'm just going to kind of start it. If you look at the sample here, I'm really only seeing just like probably not even 3 inches of it. All right, so I'm not going to worry about wasting it and putting it all the way across. I'm going to start it right about here and wrap it around the back. So I'm going to use, oh, I can't use fast fuse because my fast fuse ran out. So we're going to use glue dots, which works just fine. So I'm going to stick this down right about there. And I'm going to trim off my excess. This is another piece of scrap from my little scrap bag. And we'll pop this on to here. So I'm going to wrap the end of this around just so it has a nice clean finish. Okay, I don't get any fraying. And then that is going to get glued to a cherry cobbler card base. Okay, so this is cut 4 1/4 by 11, same as the last card. Scored in the middle at 5 1/2. I'm going to fold that in half along my score line. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue that panel centered onto the card base. So we'll just add a bit of Tombow here. And you guys still there? I haven't seen any comments or anything come through. I wonder if my comments are working. Are you guys still there? Give me a thumbs up or a like or something if you're out there. Let me know that I'm not talking to myself here. All right. So there we go. All right. I'm still not seeing any comments or thumbs up. Yikes. I hope you guys are still there. I hope I'm still live. Okay. I'm going to set this aside. We are going to stamp a few trees. And this time I'm going to use Old Olive ink. So I'm just going to stamp my block off, and apparently I forgot my Old Olive ink pad. There it is. Okay, so I've got my Old Olive ink pad. I'm going to stamp my tree. This is the large tree. I'm going to stamp both of these full strength. So I'm going to do one almost to the top of the page, and then I'm going to take my small tree, stamp it off a little bit, and I'm going to do it kind of down here. Like that. Okay, just 2 trees this time. And that, sorry, I should have mentioned, this is cut also using the Stitched Shapes dies. This is the second largest circle, okay? And I'm going to layer this. I've got a punched circle here. I punched it with my 2 1/2 inch circle punch from Early Espresso cardstock. And I'm going to go ahead, excuse me, and glue that onto my mat. Just like that. Okay? All right, now we're going to have some fun with puff paint. So here I have a couple of pine boughs, again, that I've cut using the Beautiful Boughs dies. And I have my bottle of Snowfall Accents puff paint. Now this was on back order, it came back, and now it's on back order again, if you can believe it. That's how popular this stuff is. It is so much fun. It does have a little bit of a learning curve. You want to make sure that your bottle has been shaken really, really well. I'm just grabbing my heat tool here. Trying not to knock everything on my desk over. There we go. This is going to make a little bit of noise, so I hope you guys will bear with me. So you want to make sure your puff paint is really well shaken, okay? It will separate a little bit if it's just standing in the bottle, so you want to make sure it's shaken up really, really well. And you want to remember that less is more with this stuff. You can always add more, but it's really hard to take it away if you put too much, all right? So it comes out quite liquidy. So I'm going to go ahead and just add just a little, oh wow, this is already coming out. Just a little bit onto my pine branch here. Okay, it's not a lot at all. And I'll do the same on this one. Just going to add a little bit to the ends of my branch. I've actually got enough just on the nozzle here. I don't even need to squeeze to get enough out of here. Okay, so we'll put the lid back on here. This was stored lying on its side while I went to my retreat this weekend, and it kind of leaked, so my lid doesn't fit all that well. So my advice to you is store this right side up to avoid sticky messes. Okay, so now the trick is when you are heating this to start out a ways away from your from the puff paint, and as you see it start to kind of glaze over and set, that's when you move your heat tool closer. Okay, if you start too close, what'll happen is you'll blow all the paint off, and that won't be good. Okay, so I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to stop talking because you're not going to be able to hear me over the heat tool, and then I'll talk some more about it when I'm done. Okay. Now, isn't it fun to watch that stuff puff up? I could do that all day. All right, so you can see that here it has reacted with the heat, and now I have what looks like snow on my little pine boughs. Isn't that fun? I love this stuff. It's so cool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add these to the back of my circle. I'm going to trim off a good chunk of these because I don't need all of it. And I'm going to add a couple glue dots to the back. I really hope you guys are still here because I am not seeing any comments or anything coming through. So I really hope you're still here, or maybe you just hate what I'm doing. That's highly possible too. I really hope you're here because it would suck if I'm doing this whole video and I'm not still live. All right, so I've gone ahead and added those to the back of my circle. And I also have a little pine cone cut from Early Espresso cardstock that I've also cut using the same beautiful boughs dies. And I'm gonna tuck that in behind as well. So I'm gonna add a glue dot to that and just tuck it in behind my circle, just like that. So it's kind of nestled in amongst my pine boughs there. All right, now this is ready to get glued onto the front of my card. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that, and I'm gonna actually have that circle extend off of my background panel. Okay, that just adds a little bit of interest. And we're gonna adhere this with some dimensionals. No comments, I am worried. These are some of my favorite cards I've done all year, and if this video is not working, I am not gonna be happy. I hope you guys can still hear me. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick that on. I'm just gonna add it just down here, just down in that corner. Okay, again, making sure my trees are growing upwards. All right, now we're going to do our mousse. So I'm gonna give you a couple of tips about stamping the both the outline and the inside of the mousse. So my advice is to start by stamping the outline image, okay? So I'm going to ink my outline stamp. I'm stamping on just a bit of scrap crumb cake cardstock. So I'm going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp it just like that, okay? And then I'm going to come in with my crumb cake. I'm going to ink up my solid image. So this is just the solid image to fill in my mousse. And you're going to find it easier to line that up if you've already stamped the outline. If you do it the other way, do the solid and then the outline, it's much harder. I tried both ways and I find this easier. Now, of course, the easiest way to do this is to use a Stamparatus. I would have, except it's really hard to do this background with a Stamparatus, so that is why I didn't. Now that looks really dark and mottled, but that's okay. It will lighten up and we will end up with a beautiful mousse. So we're going to punch this out using our mousse punch. Again, centering that image in there. And this is going to go on. So now this is going to get layered so that his butt's kind of on the circle, okay, and his head is over the card. So the part of his head that is over the card, we're going to pop up with a dimensional. Okay, so you kind of have to think about how this is going to sit. So this part I want to pop up, this part I want to lie flat, right? I want to lie flat on that circle. So I'm going to put glue dots under his butt here. Never thought I would talk about moose butts on a live video, but here I am. Rocking it. And I'm going to add one more dimensional to his antler here. We'll get rid of our backings. And then I'm going to pop this onto the front of my card. Now again, he's going to be walking along that bottom edge of my panel here, okay? So I'm going to kind of glue him down so he's just sort of walking along that edge, okay? There he is. Isn't he cute? All right, last step is to stamp our sentiments. So again, we're going to use that Happiest of Holidays image. And I've got my Early Espresso ink and a strip of Whisper White cardstock. This is another 1/2 inch strip. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp Happiest of Holidays right on that strip. And then pull out my tailored tag punch again and create my little banner. So we'll just slide that in, back it off a bit, and then same thing here, just like that. All right, and then that is going to get popped up again with just a couple of dimensionals. I hope you guys are there. I'm feeling very lonely. Nobody's talking to me. I really hope that you're there. Okay, so we're going to add our sentiment. I don't want to cover up my puff paint, so I'm going to move this over a little bit more than I did on my sample. But there it is. And then the last little touch is to add one of these awesome star designer elements. So these are faceted metallic copper elements, and I forgot my take your pick tool, so I'm going to use my scissors. They are metal, okay? They're self-adhesive. They have a little glue dot on the back, and I'm going to add one right to the top of this tree here. Just like that. Isn't that cute? I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, on the inside here, again, I added another moose on this one because I think he's just cute. It's like he's walking across the card and then he's walking inside the card. So I added some trees, I added another moose and another sentiment. All right. Isn't that fun? Oh, love this stamp set. I wish I had more time to play with it, but it is a busy, busy week this week. So before I go, I'm going to show you the 3 cards again, and I want to talk about a big sale that is coming up tomorrow. So here are my 3 samples. Okay, those are our 3 projects for today. But I need to tell you about this awesome flash sale that's happening tomorrow. So tomorrow, well, no, it's tomorrow, starting at 2 a.m. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 23rd till 2 a.m. Thursday, October 24th, you save 15% off. There's over 50 stamp sets that are coming on sale, and some of them are like my go-to sets. So I'm going to show you a couple of my favorites. So if you would like to take advantage of this sale, you want to do it first thing. Don't wait, because once they sell out of the quantity that they have on hand of the sale items, they'll be gone. Okay, they'll be turned off, so you won't be able to get them. But there is quite a long list. This is the list. I will post this later on tonight, so you can make your shopping list. But I'm just going to show you a couple of my favorite sets that are coming on sale. First of all, can we just talk about Buffalo Chuck for a minute? I love this background stamp. Like, love, love, love it. I've used it a ton, and it's fantastic, and it is on for 15% off. Okay. Then, again, this one is, I can't believe this is going on sale. The Rooted in Nature stamp set is kind of the new Lovely as a Tree. All right. This is an awesome stamp set. It's a double set. Okay. It's got lots of sentiments. It's got coordinating dies. The dies are not on sale, but this stamp set, what was the regular retail? It's like $57 here in Canada. It's on sale for $48. So that's a pretty decent savings. Okay. So that is one to definitely add to your shopping list if you don't already have it. This one has quickly become a favorite of mine, this beautiful friendship stamp set. I actually featured this last spring, or maybe it was last summer, I can't remember, but within the last few months, I featured this as a product of the week, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love the images in this set. I love that it comes with sentiments. It's just stunning. And this, again, is another one that is on sale for 15% off tomorrow. And then finally, next, if fall is still on your mind and you want to make some beautiful fall themed cards, Painted Harvest. This was a go-to set of mine last year. I used it a ton. It hasn't seen a lot of love for me this year because I've been so focused on new stuff, but honestly, this is a gorgeous set. You can make some beautiful floral images. These images coordinate with the leaf punch that is in the current catalog. Okay, and look at this cute little acorn. So fun. So this one is also on sale tomorrow. And then if you are all about Christmas cards for the next little while, and that's all that's on your mind, there are some Christmas sets that are on sale too. Now, these are from the annual catalog. Okay. So Merry Christmas to all. You can create your own greetings with this card. So you can basically customize whatever you want to say about the holidays. So that set is on sale tomorrow. Making Christmas Bright coordinates with the light bulb punch. Also a really fun set. We're actually using this in my card buffet on Friday. Lots of Cheer. This was one of my featured products of the week when was it? A while ago. It was like in the summer, I think, when I was doing Christmas in July. But this is a fun set. This snowman, so much fun. This looks gorgeous, colored with blends. Okay, so there's a fun Christmas set. Dashing Deer. This is one of the #1 sellers last year. If you missed out on getting it, it is on sale tomorrow only. Okay, this deer image, absolutely gorgeous. And then finally, yet another favorite of mine is Winter Woods. This is another one that we're going to be using on Friday. Love this, not just for Christmas. This makes beautiful sympathy cards, masculine birthday cards, just masculine cards in general. It is a beautiful set. And that is another one that is on sale tomorrow only for 15% off. Okay, so this sale is not to be missed. You want to take advantage of it. If you are placing your order, you can go to lenagursa.stampinup.net and then click shop to place your order, and make sure you use this host code. All right. Any order over $50 will receive a special gift in the mail from me. I haven't decided what it is yet, but it'll be worth your while, I promise. Okay. All right. That is it for me. It was a little bit long today, but I do appreciate you hanging around. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I hope you give another look to the Merry Moose bundle. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.